topic that I chose for the SEP is the military draft, and it's because the reason why I chose that topic is because, of course, I'm going into a military background, so I want to know a lot more about the military. And this was my essential question: it's what caused the United States to use military draft during the World War, Vietnam, God, again, Vietnam and World Wars, meaning both World War, and then and when, if ever, should the United States use the draft again? By the end of it, you'll see I changed my mind of like really using it again. And then these two are draft cards, front and back of a draft card in World War One. This one's World War Two. This one is the Vietnam War, and this is usually what they did with their draft cards. Except for the Vietnam War.
Wait, what are they doing?
Do you not see the lighter with the mat?
No, I can't see.
They're burning it.
Why are they burning it?
Because nobody wants to be drafted.
Okay.
Yeah. And I find it like really surprising about. I'll just get to that later because I mentioned that. And then these are the two quotations I have. During World War One, men ages 21 to 31 got drafted. And then my other one was draftees would have to serve a 12-month period, which after that year, their service would no longer be needed. And the reason why I chose that one as my second quotation is because, of course, we all know they're drafted for much more longer than just 12 months. They served for a period. In World War II, it was like 4 years. And in Vietnam War, it was quite a few years. And then this is my interviewee, Mr. Cervantes. He went to San Diego State. He grew up in East LA. And he's a history teacher at Woodside High School now. And the quote that I chose from him is that media had a lot more coverage during the Vietnam War. And the reason why I chose that is because they did have a lot more coverage in the Vietnam War. That's why we had a lot more resistance during the draft then, because nobody wants to be there. Because they saw all the blood, all the gore, everything that's going on over there. So they just want no part, unlike in World War I and II. And then I explained what conscription was, which is just drafting a whole bunch of men and whatever, anything they needed, like supplies such as vehicles, tanks, planes, food, water, just like anything. And the original idea was just to like get a bunch of men and just like put them on the front line, and that's what the French came up with. And it I guess it worked out for them because they had a few years going for them, which they're doing really good. It's just that after a while, it just started coming back to them because then they had their revolutions and whatnot. And another reason why that we chose to use the draft is because we started getting much more technology, and with technology we need more people to be able to man those technology. Like we had more machine guns, we need more men to man those machine guns. We had airplanes, we need men to man those airplanes. We have tanks, we need men to man those tanks, you know? So, and then my paragraph 3 to 4, it's many men, in every war except for World War One, all of them have been diverse. What I mean by that, and in World War One, they're extremely racist, much more racist than we are right now. And they said that other races, especially the African American race, that they weren't mature enough to be able to handle the responsibility of defending the country. You know, even though we used them during the Civil War and whatnot, but then here we are in World War One saying that no, you're not mature. You know, you suck. Sit down. And then in World War One, we drafted men ages 21 to 30. World War II, it was 18 through 38. Vietnam, it was 18 through 26. And then the ways to be discharged were if you're the only person that was bringing money into the house, if you're the head of the household, you're the only one with the job. Everybody else did nothing, all that, and you're the only one how they survived. It's just, why would we bring you? You know, it's pointless. That's just making your family die right there. And another way was that if the mother had died and she had no way to get a job or anything like that because she's dead, then the dad, he would be discharged from the draft because of that. So there they're not gonna just leave their kids at their house alone and just take them to war. So you could probably die out there, you know. And positive and negative effects. After draft on the economy, there were some positive effects. Was that like we didn't really have to pay the draftees that much, so it was like $200 per year, and like, but we still had to get them benefits like free college, and I'll get through that through the GI Bill and whatnot, and then we have to give them VA benefits and whatnot. And 5 through 6 negative effects on citizens. Draft on citizens. Of course, we know the negative effects from the Vietnam War, and it was from that quote that Mr. Cervantes gave, or that whole explanation was that how like, of course, we didn't want to be there because we saw what was going on, and it's just it sucked. War sucks, of course. Nobody wants to be in war, and volunteer military is better because like obviously they're signing up for it and they're gonna want to be there. So they're not really forced to go, you know? If someone signs up for infantry, then they want to be infantry. If someone signs up for a mechanic in the military, they're going to be a mechanic. If someone signs up for aviation, they're going into aviation. It's just a much more better system. And another reason why we use the draft is that like our allies, you know, like France, Britain, all that, they need it. Like, of course, we're sending them supplies, but they're telling us like, hey, we don't need you guys' supplies. We need troops on the ground, you know. We actually need like a fighting force from you guys. You guys like, we kind of need your help, you know. And draft dodgers. This is what I found weird because you know how we met much more resistance from draft dodgers in the Vietnam War. In World War I, we had 173,911 draft dodgers. World War II, 348,217. And in Vietnam, we only had 2,400. Just that much in Vietnam. That's how much draft dodgers we had in Vietnam. It was a weird number too. It was just like, how in that war, we had like much more citizens that were saying, hey, we don't want this, you know? We see what's going on, we hate it. And yet there's like less draft dodgers. I had no way to explain that, you know? It just came Well, usually about half these men, they were granted amnesty. A majority of these men were, and not really, a majority of them were put into prison for like 3 years, some of them life, for draft dodging. And then I'll get to a peacetime draft, what I mean by that, but a peacetime draft is like, in a time of like, when you're not fighting or anything, and you're just gathering up names, just people who are possible, like, people who could just pick up a rifle and shoot, basically, who are able to do that, you know? And treatment they got back in the United States, World War I, they got treated like heroes. World War II, they got treated like heroes. Vietnam, it was in between. Some people treat them like heroes, some people treated them like trash. It was just bad. It was a bad time for us during that time. And pensions, their pensions was like, in World War I, it was like $200 per year. And then, no, it was less than that. And in World War II, it was like $200, I think. And in Vietnam, they had to like pay them like $200 a month. It wasn't really that much. It wasn't really living cost. And of course, nowadays, our volunteer military, they get, if you're a staff sergeant in the military, you get 70, and you retire, you get 75% of what you make. And usually when you're a staff sergeant, you make like, almost 3,000, right? So you get 75% of that. And then the World War Adjustment Act, it was basically just this. They created the GI Bill and the VA. The GI Bill was just like free college and just, yeah, housing, help you pay rent and whatnot. And then the VA, it's just a place, it's kind of like a clinic. You just go there, get treated. I think the VA also helps with like financial situations also. And I forgot what else I'm coming on a blank on that. But I know they help with your medical and your financial, and I'm calling a blank on it right now. But sorry, guys. And then, yeah, our volunteer forces are much more better. Right now, currently, we're in a peacetime draft right now. Right now, we have the selective service system. Everybody who turns 18, you get a little card in the mail, you sign it, you have to send it back, right? We currently are in the draft right now. Yeah, so, and then I concluded saying, I forgot what I said. I know it was something good. It was just the reason why nobody wants to be drafted. It was just that like everybody lost the responsibility, at least on the individual level. So that's why everybody lost a sense of country basically. Nobody likes this country. Yeah, everybody's always complaining. Yeah. And then what I learned is that we still are currently in draft, like I said. The costs and benefits, how costs is much more than benefits. What I mean by that is that if we had a draft currently and we actually used it, which we are in one, but if we actually used it, when all the men come out, we have to give them like pensions, and then we have to give them like the GI Bill, and that's just gonna make our country much more poorer than it is right now, because giving basically all those men just free college, it's just put the college system in trash, you know? Just spend all your money, all the all the government's money into all these draftees. It's just gonna make us trash, you know? And things they have done to veterans, but some veterans still get treated like trash because there's some people who are still military, and then there are other people who are still like anti-military, but they still know that we need a military, so they actually do support them, you know? And then my stance did change. Like, I don't believe we should use a draft again, because we have more than enough volunteer forces right now. And because the Army right now, it's numbering on almost like 2 million, I think. And then the Navy, it's half that. Air Force, it's like 75%. The Marines, they're like 50% of that. So, yeah, volunteer forces are much more better. And with like, instead of draftees, the problem was with the draftees is that they just got like trained to shoot a rifle and then they're sent off to war. But nowadays we train them for everything basically. That's why volunteer forces are much more better. It's much more quality troops basically, instead of draftees. So yeah, I'm done.
Thank you.